Yeah, so I know Yen when he was in UK. So that time I went to his company, Plasticell, for some collaborative work. And then he moved to Singapore around 2019 or around that time. And I approached him because I was looking for a position, a postdoc position. And he suggested me to apply for LKC Dean Fellowship in LKC School of Medicine. And I think in 2020 I got that fellowship and I started to work with Yen. And now it's been 4 to 5 years that we have been working together on many different projects now. And also mainly in the cell and gene therapy space. Yeah.
No, I think far from that. In fact, I didn't know what an entrepreneur was. And at the time all this was happening, it was in the UK and I was working in Cambridge. It was very unusual to try to commercialize your scientific findings. And in fact, when I started doing that, there was a lot of curiosity around the laboratory in Cambridge that someone actually wanted to do that. It wasn't considered particularly good form that you'd want to make money out of science. But the way it started was that actually the Technology Transfer Office of the Medical Research Council had heard about what we were doing and came to see us and started to introduce to us the possibility that we could perhaps commercialize somehow the system that we had invented. And I found them to be tremendously helpful. So here in LKC, when we set up the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, this is one of the first things I did was to go and talk to all the PIs and see whether there was something interesting and whether there was interest. But that's how it happened for me. And a few years later, a short while later actually, maybe 1 or 2 years later, we spun out a company. And a little bit after that, I decided that I would go and work for that company.
So actually, I think my story goes when I was doing my PhD in NTU. So during my PhD, I co-invented one of the technology, which is a genome engineering tool. And at that time, genome editing field, that is 2011-12, genome editing field was booming and it was rapidly advancing. And I had just very basic data about our technology. And I really wanted to explore the more capabilities of our tool. And at that time, I think what happened was me being a fresh graduate, I was surprised. I got an overwhelming support from SMART as well as Intuitive. They gave me quite a lot of funding, which actually gave me a runway for about 2 to 3 years. And during that time, I actually learned the complexities of the business, how to run a business, develop some network, mentorship. So, transitioning from a scientist to, a business side of the role at that time. And then I joined as a postdoc in NTU and in LKC basically. And that journey continued. And I think the key enablers of the journey for me at least was at that time was the grants, the mentors, the mentorship that I got from them, and the support of PIs for my postdoc and in my PhD.
Yeah, so I've done 3 companies, and the first one was the one I just told you about, which actually was a hit. So that one was a very quick hit. In fact, we set it up and managed to exit fairly rapidly. And then I thought, oh, that's easy, I'll do it again. And as it turns out, it's very difficult. So the second company I started, which was around 20 years ago, is still running today. And we'll see what comes of that. It has some products that are close to the clinic, I think, and it certainly has a lot of collaborations. And the third company that I did was a joint venture together with a large pharmaceutical company. That didn't go well. That actually folded. But it wasn't the science. The science was good. But it was commercial matters that led to that. So I've had a mixture, and if you ask me from which I've learned the most, I'd have to say it's the one that went down. So that's not a bad thing. I think, first of all, in relation to the PI, what I try to do, as I've done, I think, with Harshyaa, is simply to be supportive and to allow the freedom to explore commercial aspects. Of course, for me, that's not an unusual thing, so I think that comes naturally. In terms of the university, in contrast to 5 years ago, now there are a lot of systems, I think, to encourage innovation and entrepreneurship, not least your own office here, but also now the I&E effort in the university has taken shape. So I think we're in a much better place than we were 5 years ago, and I think we're seeing the fruit of that with actually quite a few spin-outs coming out from LKCMedicine, which I have to say is something that delights me.
Yeah, in terms of support system, I think firstly I have been very lucky, and I'm even thankful for the PIs whom I've worked with, especially Yen, who has been very supportive in my journey. As he mentioned, he has given me all the freedom to basically explore different opportunities or aspects in my journey, be it science or commercial, or that actually made me go into a lot of networking events or apply for grants, fellowships, go for mentorship, and also all that has shaped me as an individual, advanced my career, and I have a good network now. So I think that wish list sort of is thick, so I have people who are really being supportive. But something that I would really wish in future, or maybe, and it's changing, I would say now, is something that, to simplify the collaborations with the company and the spin-off. So like me, I have other colleagues and friends who are having their own startups, or they aspire to start a business. But I feel we always get stuck in a lot of conflict of interest between the university and the startup. So something that I would wish that, if that process can be simplified, and there is ease of collaboration between the companies. Yeah, other than that, I wish there was more support for startups in terms of funding, because when you are starting fresh, I mean, everything is against you. You are new in the field, and it's a new science, and it's just a new proof of concept data that you've got. So we need people, or at least the grant funding for the startups, to get started and sort of take off the journey of an entrepreneur as that. So we have to struggle a lot to just find initial amount of funding to get the company started. So I guess these are the two things, mainly the simplification of the process for collaboration and the funding. Yeah, so actually I think as a researcher, you already have some skills that an entrepreneur needs, like you are more adaptable, you're more resilient, because you see failures on everyday basis and you try to manage the risk. But I think some of the skills that I really had to learn being a scientist was the business side of the startup, learning how to pitch, how to develop business models, the fundraising process. So these are the skills that I had to learn. I think apart from that, I had to really go out of my comfort zone to network outside. So I used to be a very introvert person. So I really had to acquire those skills, go meet people, network, build relationships, pitch effectively, communicate your ideas more effectively. Another thing I think I had to develop was the leadership or the team building skills, because being a researcher, you are in your own lab, own space, in your own comfort. So when you actually transition into business, you have to talk with different kind of people and inspire them for the same, to go towards the same goal. So this is something I had to develop over the period of time. Yeah.
Business development is a big skill. Dealing with venture capitalists, fundraising is of course a key thing. General networking is very, very helpful. I had, getting out of an academic lab and into industry, to learn project management much more, and forecasting both the financial and the scientific aspects of the future is very, very important in giving people the confidence that you know where you're going and that you can get there. So these are things that you have to pick up outside academia mostly.
Yeah, I think for people who aspire to be entrepreneurs, I guess they have to learn the new skills which will come with time, as in when you start meeting people or going to the conference, attending events. So I actually started off my journey with applying for business plan competitions, and that's where I was assigned a mentor and meeting a lot of networks there. So I think for people who wish to start this journey should go network, meet people, attend events, attend business plan competitions, conferences, be prepared to learn these new skills, and they have to be prepared to wear different hats, because they are not just researchers, they have to solve different problems that basically hits them every day. Other than that, I think they have to be more resilient in a way that they shouldn't get disheartened soon, by taking up this journey, because every day there are a lot of people or a lot of things that will try to put you down because of the situation. But I think something that they have to be really resilient about it. I think these are the key things I would say, an entrepreneur should learn probably.
As Harshyaa says, it's tough. It's actually, I think it's tougher than research. You have both the scientific risk, but also the commercial risk, and you need to juggle a very large number of balls. So it's not for everyone, and you do need to be gritty, as Harshyaa said. But I would encourage everyone to give it a try at least. It's a lot of fun. You learn a lot of new things, and you may even make some money.